I'm sharing. Can you see it, John?
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the main stage. I know there's a lot of bouncing around in the sessions, and I went through all the expo booths, and it's been really exciting. Now we've got Dr. April.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the main stage.
We got a little feedback here.
I know there's a lot of bouncing around in the sessions, and I went through all the
April, I'll let you go.
It's been really exciting. Now we've got Dr.
All righty, here we go. And we're off to the races. For those of you who don't know, I'm Dr. April Trippiano. I am the CEO of AT International, where we transform financial advisors and insurance agents from solopreneurs to CEOs so they can earn more, work less, and live better. And yes, it does work. It excites me so. And I'm delighted to be here for this first ever Fintech Summit. I have been preaching digital transformation for over a decade, and John and I salivate over some of the digital virtual stuff. So this is so exciting for us. I'm really glad that you guys are here, and I applaud you for being here. Now, I am going to go ahead. I hope my screen should be sharing here because, there's always a little fun with technology. Let's get it right. There we go. All right. So what I really want to do here, guys, I hope that you took advantage of those sessions. And I hope that what you were able to do was really take away some useful tools that you can start to implement into your way of doing business. And I'm going to show you here the next move, some key things to think about, key steps to maximizing the technology that you've learned about today. Hang on, I've got 30 minutes with you guys. I'm going to talk fast, so grab a pen and a paper. All right. Now, the first thing that I do want to talk about is the fact that if you ever had any question, if you have any question coming into today's summit, whether or not we're in the age of change, I'm here to say that we can dispel that question and put it to rest. We are in an age of change. We are in the digital renaissance. Right now, what we're seeing out in the world is that the entire globe is going digital. And I shared some stats in my breakout. It is 2 times more preferred. It's 2 times more than the traditional method across the board, guys. It's also being proven 96% effective, and 79% of all business owners across the industries are saying, we're not changing. We're going to stay exactly where we are, right? So if you're not innovating and improving and evolving and changing, I'm telling you, you're going to get left behind. Because here's the 2 things that are factors right now. 2 things that are in the digital transformation and the age of change are that the speed of technology is one. So where we used to see, you can see here on the left of that slide, you can see that what we used to have when we thought we were really up to speed was that multi-channel customer experience. So how do we dip in here, dip in there, dip in here, dip in there? But what we've got now with the speed of technology, and I don't just mean the speed of the internet, I mean the speed of change. What Steve was talking about, Steve, I love that guy's brain. He just fascinates me. So exactly what he was talking about, right? Things are going so fast. But now what we're looking at is this omni-channel. People want it everywhere. They want your same brand message. They want your same brand experience everywhere. Technology has to be at the heart of it. Again, you ever had a question? If you've been walking around with your little bitty toe dipped in, you better start thinking about dipping both feet in and don't just wave. Start swimming, baby, because it's here, okay? So what we were seeing and what we're still seeing some hangers on, we've seen what I call the we have rising consumer expectations is the second factor. I mentioned speed of technology, but rising consumer expectations. So now what we're seeing is, whereas, look at this comparison, guys, side by side. And I'm looking all over the place. I got my slides here. I got your chat over here. And I've got the other set monitor over here. So, but look at your slides there, and you will see that on the legacy agency, you had things like demographic targeting. look, we are no longer looking at just the demographics. If that's all you're looking at when you're talking about your consumer journey, your customer journey, your client journey, and the experience of it, you're falling behind. You got to think about psychographics. You got to think about behavioral targeting and behavioral graphics, okay? Customer journey 101, no longer. We skipped past it, right? That was old school legacy, and then we went into the multi-channel. Now we're in the omni-channel, and I'm telling you, we're in customer journey 3.0, maybe even heading towards 4.0, and that is the experience. The experience. Can I just tell you that my 8-year-old niece was disappointed that we couldn't go to Starbucks together. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I have better coffee at home. I have an espresso, and we love it. We make it at home. But she's 8 years old, and what she gets is that the experience trumps the product sometimes, right? My cappuccino is way better than Starbucks, but she loves that experience, okay? So the experience is customer journey 3.0 and beyond, and that's what you got to be thinking about, and that's why this technology is so flipping important, okay? And then you've got buying. People, we've always wanted to look at how do we get people to buy. Right now, we have to get people to bond because we've got to have brand engagement, brand loyalty, and we're no longer advertising to get people to buy. We're advocating to get brand champions, okay? We've got to have brand champions, and that is the new customer journey, all right? And for some reason, I'm seeing a little bit of a difficulty here. All right. So now, understanding your client's experience is going to be critical. And there are some things that you need to be looking at. And I want to share those with you right now. Because here's the deal. You think your customer experience or client experience looks like this. You think you're giving them a very clear direction of how they interact with you and how they work with you and how they can purchase from you, how they find you when they're just looking. And I'm going to tell you something that what we find when we get in and do audits, because we do audits for our clients, we find that this is more what it feels like to the client, okay? They got bits and pieces. There's hacks in there. There's like hacks technology, pieces that don't go together. It is not seamless, guys. The experience is not seamless, okay? So when we get in here, when we deal with this, and so I always talk about our solopreneur to CEO experience. We have like 9 different areas that we work on. And this has to do with our extraordinary operations evolution and dauntless digital transformation. Every client we talk to has to be thinking about this and working on it, okay? And what I'm going to give you guys today, as fast as I can, and I'm not holding back, I'm giving you all I got here, okay? In 30 minutes that I got with you guys on this closing session here before the panel, I'm going to give you the tools we're using, and this is one of them. I have every client sit down and do an empathy profile. And what we're looking at here is what do your clients hear? What do they hear that pertains to your products and services? Okay. What are they hearing? Not just about you and your brand, because they probably don't even know who you are yet. Okay. Unless they've been referred to you or they somehow find you from a Google ad, they haven't even heard about you. So, but what are they hearing about the problems that you solve? That's what we want to know. What do they see in the world around them about the problems they solve? How do they see other people solving it? How do they see your competitors solving it? How do they see their friends and family and colleagues and peers and everybody else out there, people on their social media channels? How are they solving the problems that you solve? The problems they have that you solve, okay? What do they think and feel? What do they think and feel about those solutions? What do they think and feel about those problems? How does it affect them? You need to know this because that's the language you need to be using, and it's the methodology for delivery that it's the methodology for delivery that you need to be giving them as a brand experience, okay? A brand experience. And remember what I said, even an 8-year-old understands the brand experience. So if you guys think that you don't need to be thinking about it, please think again because you're dealing with savvy clients, right? So here's the second thing that you need to be thinking about. Behavioral segmentation. Looking at your clientele, your ideal clients, your ideal prospects, all right? You've got to be thinking about these, like, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 pieces there, okay? Don't let it overwhelm you. I just want you to see this. I don't expect you to know it all right now and answer every question right now. But these are things that most people aren't thinking about. I'm sure you've heard the term touch points. When you're thinking about their touch points, these are the things that you need to be thinking about. What is their purchasing behavior? Listen, my mother, who's 74, buys online at night from her iPad while she's watching, I don't know, some movie channel because she can't sleep, right? What are their purchasing behaviors? Where do they buy? What tools do they use? And you need to be looking at these and thinking about all the vendor solutions that you saw today, the breakout sessions you heard, the people you saw in the expo, everybody that has been brought to you by this FinTech Summit today. Think about how they can help you resolve these issues to get to your clients, okay? Now, the next one is the journey stage, in their buying journey. And that relates to all those standard that you've seen, like, are they in the awareness? Are they trying to find people? Are they in the consideration stage where they're trying to figure out whom they're going to go with when they do something, right? Like, that's the journey stage, okay? And then you've got the benefits that they're seeking. What benefits are they seeking? That goes back to that empathy profile. What do they want to get? What's the problem the way they feel it, the way they see it, the way they hear it, the way they experience? What are the benefits they want? Not the ones you think they want. I'm going to give you a little hint here. Responding to this oftentimes takes doing a little research. Research with the clients. Research with people you think are in your ideal market, all right? Again, it takes an audit. That's why I said a lot of times we'll go in and we'll do these audits. But what's the timing of the occasion for which they're purchasing? You know those life events. You know what they are. But what's the timing of it? What's going on for them? What's the customer satisfaction level? What does it take for them to be customer satisfied? What does it look like and feel like when they're satisfied? Because how I feel when I'm satisfied and give a 5-star or a 4-star is very, very different than how, I don't know, let's say my fiance, who might be somebody who's buying from you as well, right? So if we're sitting down together, sitting across the table from you. So what does that customer satisfaction look like? What's the measurement? Customer loyalty, engagement, user status, right? And when I say status, I don't mean financial status. I mean, if they're a user of your technology, what's their status of knowledge, capability, capacity, all those things, okay? These are things you've got to be thinking about. And I know it's a lot, but it's stuff you need to be thinking about. This is a tool that we use. We sit down and we look at, on that empathy profile, who's our persona? Who's our, sorry, struggling to think in English today. Who's our persona? Who's our avatar, right? You've heard those terms. And my question to you is, have you specifically defined them? Have you specifically defined how you do them and what benefits you can bring them? And then going through all of these phases, if you were to see this, on a bigger screen or in person, you would see that you're looking at the purchasing behavior, journey stage, all these things I just talked about, answering those questions for your avatar, your persona, okay? And when you answer those questions, you'll be able to map on just exactly where you need to be putting in the pieces with technology. Where do you need to be adding in those pieces that you don't currently have? Where do you need to upgrade the pieces that you have, but they're hacked in, right? Remember that picture I showed you? You think you're giving them a seamless experience, but I can promise you that it's not as seamless as you think it is, even if it's pretty good, okay? Now, why does this matter to you? Listen, if you're one of those people who are resistant, I'm telling you right now, it matters because it will affect your client satisfaction, which means your retention. It'll affect how and whether you can upsell, cross-sell, increase AUM, bring on referrals, all that stuff. It's going to affect your revenue, okay? But it's also going to affect your efficiency, right? How much more efficient is it to allow somebody to schedule their own appointment at a time that fits them and fits you without all the back and forth? It increases your profitability because it increases your efficiency, okay? So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you those key steps to maximizing. I'm going to give you a shortcut, okay? The reason I'm going to give you a shortcut is because I know that when you look at some of these maps, wow, these are just samples, okay? They're beautiful, right? They're beautiful. They look great. But most people don't even use them, okay? They set them out there and they put them on a shelf and don't use them, or they don't use them as well as they could, okay? Now, I'm not saying not to do that. I don't think that's wise because I think once you've done all that work, if you've done the audit, if you've done the client interviews, if you look at your data, if you're collecting data in other ways, in automated ways, and you're not setting that out, then you're wasting your data. Okay, so you want to be doing that. But here's the shortcut to get you to that and to get you through that. And it's something that I call orate. It's just 5 phases. These are the things that you can do that you can start off with and just get your feet wet, or take some of that data that you do have and put it to use, because it's not, if you're not using it, it is useless, right? Okay, so here's the first step. I call it orate, and I just say that so you can remember it. Okay? It doesn't have to do with orating and talking, all right? But it's just the letters. So orate, the acronym. Onboarding. Look at your onboarding process. This is so critical, because when your onboarding process saves time, maximizes efficiency, and I don't just mean your efficiency, I mean your people's efficiency. If you're not wasting their time, because look, guys, they're overwhelmed, they're exhausted, they've all got Zoom fatigue. Everybody's got video brain now, Zoom brain, right? It's a term now. So they want to have confidence in how you're onboarding them and what you're bringing them into your business, your company, which, by the way, exactly how you onboard them, as you give them confidence that they made the right decision to go with your company over somebody else's, okay? So looking at the technologies you have available, and like I said, the vendors that you have, that you talked with today, and others that are out there, that's one of the first places you want to totally refine how you're using technology. The next one is resources. What resources are them? Oh, I know you've heard some good ones today. I know you have, and you're gonna hear more about them from our vendors in the panel, right? But it gives them the capacity to use your services to maximize the services you give them. You guys, this gives them the whole full Monty. You're not just telling them, you're not handing them marketing materials, you're not having them fill out forms. You're giving them resources they can use to go online and see their accounts. I know you've heard about some of those things today, and if you're not using them, you need to jump on board and be using them, okay? And believe me, I'm not an affiliate for that. I just know it works, right? I love our vendors and what they're bringing to the table. And I love how we can make this work for everyone. The next is to assimilate, okay? And when I say assimilate, here's what I mean, right? You start to open the doors of communication, but communication as it fits your company culture. And this is so critical. You want to assimilate them into your company culture, because again, how you use technology and how you use it to onboard them, how you use it to build your brand, how you use it to give them resources and give them capacity in their own hands, put some control in their own hands, that they want to check their account at 3 a.m. when the kids finally go to sleep, and they're finally out of their laundry room office, in the makeshift office, and they're actually using the laundry room to do laundry, and they can actually sit down and look at their stuff. You've given them the tools, right? And you're opening the lines of communication, and you're also opening the lines for them to be able to tell you what they love and be able to use what you give them. So helping them assimilate into your company culture reinforces your brand. It gives you so much brand equity, you guys, if you haven't thought about it. It differentiates you from everybody else out there who's still gimping along, trying to figure out what their value proposition is. This is your value proposition, okay? And then it also gives them the verbiage and the brand definition to go out and send you other people and tell them how great their experience is, right? And get you referrals without you even having to ask for, do a hard ask. The next step of this is tools, giving them tools. Again, some of the things that I talked about here with the tools are things that you've seen here today. It gives them the capability to be able to do these things offline, online, to do it with you, to do it without you. I love giving my clients tools that I tell them you can either do it yourself, you can DIY, DWY done with you, or DFY done for you. And this gives you the ability, the capability to give them more options, to bring in more of those clients that are the ideal clients you want, and also to bring in some of those clients that maybe they're not quite ideal yet, but they're going to be very, very soon, not like in 30 years, but very, very soon. And you're giving them the capabilities to come on board with you. They're giving them the capabilities to grow with you without it taking away from your productivity and your bottom line numbers. And I say that, and you understand what I'm saying, right? Like you want to be able to bring in everybody, but we can't always give everybody that DFY experience. Some people we have to let them have the DIY or some combination of the DWY, the done with you. Because when we give them that, then they can grow with us without taking us away from other areas where we could still be producing and bringing in those high net worth accounts, right? Hello. So this is another great advantage of bringing them into our technology. Now, the last step is E for engage. And when we talk about engaging them, what that does is it reinforces their commitment to be with you, their commitment to stay with you, their commitment to onboard with you in the first place, their commitment to send you friends and family. Look, nobody wants to send friends and family to somebody that didn't give them a great experience. Hey, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to tell people where they don't think you should go. They shout it from the rooftops. But if you give them confidence, capability, capacity, communication. I lost my train of thought for a sec here. Look at those smiling faces. You give them communication, ways to talk about your brand, and you have them committed to you. Holy smackers. You're making your life easier. You're making their life easier. You're saving your time, saving their time, maximizing your profitability, and maximizing their likability of you and your brand. You are buying their buy-in and their commitment, all while doing it inside your culture and your organization. Hello, how much better could that be, right? So I want to just mention that I do have a gift for you. And I don't know if you guys are going to, John, if you guys are going to want to take any questions before we wrap. I'm kind of watching the time here so that if we have any questions, we can take them. But I do have a gift. It is, you can find it in my booth. And all you got to do is click on the link there, get my gift, or get your gift now. And when you go in there, there is absolutely no strings attached, you guys, okay? No strings. It's not a sales call. It's just my gift, my give back for you guys spending your time here. And it's my give back for all that John and Alex have done as well. I mentioned this in my breakout session, but this is the only way you can get, and anyone can get an hour of my time, because I don't normally work that way. But this is for you. If you have any questions about anything that you've heard here about those keys to maximizing, and any questions that you've had about how to implement the ORATE, right? The ORATE system. Real simple, real easy, so you can turn it into that customer journey and customer experience with all of those touch points, right? Like I said, I just want to bring that back together. If you've got one started, but it's not finished, this is a place, because a lot of times people get overwhelmed if they're doing it on their own without a team behind them. So you can just start with those steps and fill in the blanks later, but you can put it into action. Take what you got here at the summit and put it into action. Take what you learned here. Look at, take what you got out of the breakout sessions and start relying on some of our valuable and valued solutions partners so that they can actually help you put these things in place. I want to say this, remember this, and I mentioned this in my breakout session. I will mention this here. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. We are in the age of change. I said it at the very beginning. The waves of change are here. They're not coming. We are in the swell of it. And if you are not riding that wave and gaining that momentum and riding that wave out to increase the success of your business and your company, then you're going to end up getting pulled under by the undertow, okay? And you're going to end up like the other guy on the other side of that photo, sucked in under the water, gasping for air when the competition, everybody else out there, is way ahead of you, because we're not going to be slowing down. Steve Rader said it. If you didn't hear it, then you got to be listening. He shouted it from the rooftops, right? You didn't even have to be listening carefully. Steve said it right there. It's here. It's been here, but now it's here on loudspeaker. So I want you guys to think about that. I want you guys in the swell of the wave, riding that momentum, because this is what I'm telling everybody. And I'm telling you right now, it is now o'clock. We cannot keep dipping our pinky toes in, our baby toes in. We can't just put one foot in. We can't hold, if I was standing, you guys would see this, but we can't hold 1 foot over in legacy, 1 foot over in digital, and think that we're actually going to be able to ride this wave out. It is now o'clock, guys. We've got to dive in, both feet, swim with all you've got, and bring technology into your business for your client's sake, for your client's sake, for your sake, for your team's sake, right? Because the more we maximize efficiency, the more we can maximize the way our teams work, the way our producers work, the way we work, whether we're producing or simply managing. Not simply, but you get my point, right? Because sometimes we're doing both, aren't we? But the only way to do that is with technology. And the best technological digital experience we can give our clients builds that brand equity, builds that brand loyalty, and also gives us our life back. And that's what I want for you. Remember what I said when I opened up. Teach people how to earn more, work less, and live better. And technology plays a huge part of it. A huge part of it. We make sure that we, all of our clients, play in that playing field. And with that, I will ask if there's any questions, and if there's not any questions, I will tell you that you can definitely go to my booth. You can also get in touch with me, and I'm happy to answer any questions in any way that I can. I'm going to check in on my booth. And with that, I want to toss it to my esteemed colleague and peer, Brother Adam Holt. Adam, it's so great to see you here. You know, you and I had some conversations a while back. I love what you do. You are a champion for FinTech, and I appreciate you for that, brother. I'm going to hand it over to you with the panel.
Thanks, Doctor.
Take it away.
No, it's great to hear your voice, and of course, your passion and energy always comes through. So, thanks so much for introducing our panel and leading this charge. You know, we're all trying to figure it out, so we appreciate everybody's patience and participation in this, and hopefully, you're taking stuff away from this, taking notes, things you want to follow up. I love it's now o'clock. I'm going to get a clock, April, that says now under all that time. Of course, for all of our Pacific time, I guess it's now minus 3 hours, I guess so. Anyway, we'll see how that plays out. Listen, I want to take an opportunity to level set for the next 30 minutes or so. We have a great opportunity, and we want to make a shout out to Loan Buddy, who's really put this together, and John Kia, who really kind of did this with Alex to make this happen. It is not easy to pull this off. We've all been part of this for the past, I guess, month. But we've been following their lead. So thank you so much to the two of you who have made this possible. In our closing event, we have I've been lucky enough to be part of this final panel, where I'm going to bring in, when they're ready, when all the panelists are ready. If you can click share your audio and video now, you will now be brought into the main platform, and we will start to see some of our friends. There's Alex. Okay, great. I see Jen coming online.
Hi, Adam.
And hello, Jen. And there's Michael, and there's Mac. Fantastic. Looks like Mike is on vacation. All right. Fantastic. Don't tell anybody. His boss, as the CEO. Let's kind of level set what we're going to do over the next 30 minutes. The hope here is to engage at least 4 of our leaders here in FinTech, talk about what's coming, what some of the challenges that they've overcome, certainly recently, and then what do they see going forward? Just to give you a feel for myself, this is going to be our panel today. You can see obviously the companies that are represented. Hopefully you had an opportunity to spend some time with them. For myself, just, you know, I'm the CEO and founder of AssetMap. I'm an advisor who turned into a FinTech CEO and can't figure out why I ever did that. We have a great business in financial services. And so now I'm scrambling around working 80 hours a week again. April, I should have taken your advice a long time ago and just stayed in financial services. But anyway, as a result, it's kind of given me an interesting perspective. So I hope I can add some value. Let's go around the horn here and introduce each of our people. So just so you know, format-wise, I'm going to put your face up there and your contact information for those that want to connect with you. Please give us a 2-minute intro on what you're doing and what's your kind of big vision, and the kind of, you know, just let us get to know you a little bit. It doesn't have to, but let's kind of try to keep it under 2 minutes, okay? Jen, let me introduce Jen, COO of Simply Paraplanner.
Hi, all. So as you said, I'm Jen from Simply Paraplanner. Our company was founded by Alex Hopkin. She is a military spouse and had a hard time finding a job in the industry. So Simply Paraplanner was created to connect remote employees with firms in the financial planning industry. So we have a job board where you can do DIY job postings, or you can hire us to actually do candidate screening for you and find your perfect fit. We also run a Paraplanner Academy. So for people who are interested in being virtual paraplanners, they can join our academy for a monthly fee. They get access to software training, which includes Loan Buddy. And they also get access to monthly webinars, group coaching calls, sample documents, and all kinds of stuff there. So yeah, that's a little bit about us.
Thank you, Jen. Awesome. And everyone should see Jen's contact up here if you want to connect with her directly. Mike Zabrowski, let's introduce Mike from Advisor Innovation Lab.
Great.
Mike, welcome.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate the opportunity. So 3 years ago, we started Advisor Innovation Labs, and the concept is pretty simple. Advisors are not technicians. They know they want to put together all this technology. We harmonize the tech stack. What we found in our research, the problem that we solve is clients on average touch about 6 different apps, but they only use about apps. Advisors closer to 8 to 10 and only use about 5%. So we pull all that together and we deliver it through a common interface for both the client and the advisor, with the hopes of bringing them a little bit closer together. Thanks.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Mike. I've seen your products. Awesome stuff. Let's introduce Mac. Mac is CEO of Smart RIA. Mac, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. So Smart RIA is a software platform that manages compliance for financial advisors. We work with firms ranging from one person with 10 million in assets under management to hundreds of people with billions of dollars in assets under management. And we really specialize in working with those larger firms and helping them to build a team approach to maintaining compliance and to making it easy for them to do that, to save time and reduce stress, because compliance is definitely something that causes that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mac. Thanks for being here. And last but not least, our host, Mr. Alex Bottom, co-founder of Loan Buddy. Welcome.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks everyone for being here. We founded, I've been talking all day. My voice is a little raspy, but we founded Loan Buddy a couple of years ago, back in 2018, and we've really grown, and it's really great to be able to participate and lead these types of conferences. But we focused on something very simple. We saw that there was 43 million Americans with student loan debt, and that with federal income-driven repayment options, there just was a lot of questions and complexity, something that we tried to make simple. And now over the last 2 years, we've developed a platform for borrowers, for free self-service tools, for advisors to be able to better understand through education and training, some of it, which is now in Simply Paraplanner's portal, and just to deliver information in a way that helps reduce that exposure to student loan debt. There's 1.5 trillion of federal student loan debt currently, and we think that the independent advisors and corporate partners that we're building tools for can help save a lot of money for individuals and start initial client conversations moving forward on student loans. I think once the CARES Act is, what's going to occur with the CARES Act come October, we're in a very unprecedented environment with 0% interest rates and non-mandatory payments. So there's still a lot of questions on a macro level, and for us at Loan Buddy, we deliver tools and a platform to help achieve those reductions for lower student loan payments.
Got it. So thanks, everybody. So this is an interesting panel because all of you are doing something very, very different from each other, right? From supporting back-end financial advisors to giving them a user experience to thinking about the compliance to, in Loan Buddy, specifically solving a specific pain point around debt. Talk to us about each of it. If you can take 60 seconds, because one of the things we want to do is we want to keep us moving here. If you could take 60 seconds, what challenge did you overcome over the last 3 months, and how did you address it, either running your company as a business owner in this world? But give us some feel for getting empathetic about you. Why don't we start with Matt?
Yeah. So it has been a very unique business climate, and we we went into this year expecting to triple the size of our business, and expecting our customer interactions to continually get better as they had been. We're really excited about a lot of things that we were working on. And then suddenly all of our customers are working from home, and they're concerned about staying healthy, but also the market was crashing, and they were in full-on crisis mode, and we were trying to help them to remember, because certainly we know that regulators were not going to forget. The compliance was still important, and helping them to navigate through that, and making sure they had support when they needed it. So that was a real ongoing issue for us, and just one of the examples of things that kind of came out of left field, but it was something that we helped with.
Yeah. Jen, have you experienced similar challenges over the last 3 months?
I would say similar. So our team runs completely virtual already, so that wasn't an issue. I would say we had a decrease in job listings, but an increase in interest. So we had a lot of people actually sign up for the portal because they're starting to work virtually, and now they're like, I don't want to go back to the office, and they want to know how to do this. And then we also had an increase in interest of advisors of trying to figure out how do we work with our team virtually. So we actually started to just up our game and educating. We put up more webinars. We did a work from homes chronicle, and just things like that. So there was a little bit of, I think, slowdown, but there was an increase in interest, I guess, in working virtually.
Yeah. Mike, have you experienced something similar? I mean, you have a huge dev team.
Yeah, so it was interesting for us because back in the first part of the year, we were in the process of selling the company, and we sold at the end of February and closed beginning of March. So just before everything hit, we became part of InvestNet. Then our lease expired, and so I had to move out. The biggest challenge wasn't necessarily having everyone remote working, right? Because for the most part, they were doing that already 3 days a week, so shifting it to 2 days. The bigger challenge was making sure that we stayed connected with everyone, like culturally, to make sure everyone was okay so that we could get back into a cadence. And then all of a sudden, we just saw this huge demand once we became part of InvestNet. Things just took off, usage took off, and we weren't, frankly, I was a little nervous about usage, but the nice thing about Amazon, where we host, it was no issue at all. But it was important for us to connect on a daily basis. We have a daily stand-up. It's a 10-minute stand-up. We keep it to 10 minutes, and it's really just to make sure we're all staying connected, and that we can see each other. That has really helped us and become the norm for us right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it. How about you, Alex? Have you what kind of challenges have you guys had over the last 3 months?
We've been in development mode, for the last 2.5 years, and so when we get a challenge, we look at it as an opportunity to better serve our customers. And with our latest integration with Plaid's liabilities endpoint, and the current 0% interest and no payments required, that caused a deficiency within our application. So the information that was routing to us from the servicers, they were sending the 0% interest rates and not the historic interest rate. So that caused a challenge for us where we have to go in and edit into the users have to go in and edit into their client accounts in order to generate the pro formas to create those life cycle plans that we develop. So even when we develop a new integration and the conditions change, we have to be very nimble to how the information's routed, and not be limited by our data partners, because prior to that new integration, we were leveraging the federal student loan data file, which was a static file and had its own limitations because you had to continually update it. So it's kind of par for the course when you're developing technology to kind of address challenges, and we kind of take them as they come along and try and create solutions.
That's great. Thank you. And for us too, we had a hard time also, like what Mike said, in terms of culture, making sure that we could go remote immediately, like Jen had already done for AssetMap. But it's actually been really interesting. I know that for us, the productivity is off the charts. I know for a lot of us, I feel like we're running more meetings than we've ever run before. I don't know how we're going to go back to this, less productivity time, but maybe more hugs. I don't know. High fives, maybe more in both. Talk to us about, we have a lot of advisors on the program today. You guys each have a very unique perspective. So what is the big problem that advisors are not seeing either coming or in front of them right now that they need to get ready for? April talked about a lot of things in terms of engaging and empathy and organization. What do you guys see in your unique perspective that advisors need to pay attention to now? And is there anybody who wants to jump with it or wants to go for it? Otherwise, I'm going to pick on you.
I'll go.
All right, Mac, I heard you first.
All right. So, yeah, so, right now, the SEC says at audit time, if you didn't document it, it never happened. And people, as I was saying, like what's been going on with us, our customers have been in crisis mode. And of course, the market has come back, but they're still working from home and still dealing with new ways of operating. And so compliance offices are having difficult time overseeing their teams. And they need to document everything that is happening to be able to be prepared for their audit. And really just the move to such a even more distributed environment where everybody's working virtually. People are still figuring out what does that mean and how do I make sure that I'm documenting everything because the SEC won't care that you say you did it. You have to show that you did.
Yeah, great points.
Yeah, so some interesting data. Being part of Investnet, we get access to a bunch of different consumer data from Yodlee. A couple things that came across my desk in the last couple of days that shocked me. 31% of investors at Fidelity between the ages of 65 and 69 sold all of their stock back in between February and May. Wow. To add on to that, some more shocking things is that we saw a huge uptick in consumers going direct, opening up accounts, especially the younger ones. So, over 1 million retail customers opened up in the first quarter, 1.1 million new accounts at Fidelity. That's 525,000 more than March alone. Even Robinhood from March of 19 to March of 20 tripled the increase in new accounts. So for years, we've heard about the industry moving to digital. The clients were moving in this direction. I think advisors knew it was happening. I don't think they realized with this COVID incident that things just happen overnight. It's just unbelievable the number of people who jumped online and started trading. E-Trade said most of their new accounts in the last month are outpacing those that are over 50. So people who are under 50 are opening up a lot more new accounts. It's just shocking how quickly we became digital and had to accommodate that. And I think the industry knew it was coming. I think the wave hit us. And the good news is I think we've all kind of reacted pretty good and ready for this. So
thank you. So Jen, what do you see as the challenge that advisors need to be aware of?
Yeah, I think it just kind of goes along with the overall theme of everything we've been talking about today, that things are changing very rapidly. And I think a lot of firms were ignoring it. And they were like, oh, I have plenty of time. I don't need to worry about that. And we had so many people that would talk to us and be like, oh, working virtual isn't that's not possible. Mm-hmm. Now we're here. It is possible. And so I think that it's just a lot of the old school traditional firms have been ignoring things for so long that they're now being forced to actually pay attention to this. And so we're happy about that as Simply Paraplanner. While it happened under circumstances that are not good, people are finally realizing that you can be virtual, you can utilize technology in these ways. And in order to stay relevant, you have to. So.
Well, let me ask you a follow-on question, because you're doing something very interesting. How have advisors uptake, or what's the uptake been for this idea of a virtual power planner that might be part-time or full-time. I mean, that's a really interesting niche, especially given what Steve talked about in terms of the kind of overall gig economy and thinking about how planning can be done, especially to support smaller practices. What do you see as that? What kind of adoption have you seen, and what do you think the barriers to that adoption might be?
I think the main barriers are people's own mental barriers, to be honest. And then we still see firms coming to us that are still using desktop versions of financial planning software and CRMs. So that's a barrier, but not as big of a barrier as people just own mental blocks with the idea of hiring virtual paraplanners. We have seen a pretty big change. Before COVID happened, we were having 2 to 3 job listings a month for virtual paraplanners. So we do think it's going to continue increasing now that the market's back and people are willing to spend money. But yeah, I think the biggest barrier is just people not being open to it.
Got it. Interesting. So that's a change. What about you, Alex? What are you seeing as the biggest challenge advisors are not asking right now, and that you guys have been trying to address?
Well, one of the things that we tried to address for advisors is an entry point, especially for a younger, possibly newer advisor or an innovative advisor that's looking to start the conversation on student loans. And with our technology, we didn't design our solution to be a lead generation tool. And there's some marketing solutions that are participating here with us today. And we had seen a lot of pain points from advisors that were looking for leads. And so we took it as an opportunity to develop a solution to connect into our free portal, which we have 10,000 borrowers in that portal to connect up to advisors for the first time. So they can kind of sit back and receive potential connections, and it's within our dashboard. So it was kind of seeing what a challenge that the advisors were having and how we can help fill that, and we were doing it for free. A lot of other companies charge for lead generation, and we think that with 43 million Americans with a student loan, it's a very topical and a great initial conversation that I think a lot of advisors maybe hadn't considered.
Yeah. That's so important. I think for us in our world, the biggest kind of eye opener is how many advisors are not comfortable delivering advice remotely. Going from the face-to-face, I've got this beautiful conference room that I've invested a lot of money in, to I got this 24-inch monitor where I can barely fit 2 screens and an 80-page report that nobody's going to read. It's a completely different value proposition. I know one of the things that we've been trying to figure out, how do you literally compress that to one single screen, regardless of what kind of environment we're using, and that's really what we focus on. Mike, I think there's an extraordinary amount of demand for consolidation of that view, because we just don't have the attention span to hit all these different accounts, let alone manage them. What do you think's coming in the sense of these portals and client experiences? And how do we really how do we adopt and integrate these things? No, you're on mute. Classic.
I've been talking for 5 minutes.
What you said was great.
It's the industry has really started to move. You know this as well as I do, everyone on the panel. From a technology perspective, we're starting to see, the Fintech map from Michael Kitches is he's got no more room on it, right? So that's great news for our industry. There's a lot more tech companies, and they're a lot more progressive. So for integration purposes, all those new players are really cloud agnostic. You can put them anywhere. They use some of the latest technology, which makes the integrations much easier. But I think what clients want is they want to be able to go and have an advisor that they can work with, log into the site at whatever time, whenever they want, and get a view of everything all together at once with a 100,000-foot view. Quick summary, right? My wife loves to just go in and just check to make sure no one's stealing money out of our checking account, and she could do that through the site. Whereas, I'll go in every once in a while and I'll start there and then have the ability to drill in and get into performance. How's my accounts doing? What are the transactions looking like? How am I doing against the plan? What's the Monte Carlo? Or going into the asset map, right? Because that's another one where a client can look at it in one view. You talked about trying to fit everything into one view. I think you're already there, Adam, with a lot of your technology. The client can quickly see off that one page, if you will, off the glass, how well they're doing if they've got all the areas covered. I think in this downtime, clients had the ability to go back and spend some extra time because they were home, they weren't commuting, they had extra time in their day to go back and take a look at, hey, that advisor 2 years ago suggested I buy that whole life insurance and set up this trust. Well, now's the time for them to go back and look at it. So we're seeing that, and the ability to pull this all together with the ability to drill down into more detail, I think has finally arrived. We're still dealing with some firms who have antiquated technology. They know who they are, but there's enough pressure now because the bar has been raised. They need to step it up.
That's true. That's interesting. I mean, Mac, when you think about that, so much of this comes back to proving, as you said, and with the SEC's best interest regulation obviously upon us, and of course that RIA is going to continue to expand. I think we're going to see greater. I think, and I'm not an expert on it, but what I keep hearing is that there's going to be more scrutiny. What kinds of tools are you at Smart RIA actually supporting or promoting that advisors really think about? How do they actually start meeting these standards?
Yeah, so it really all comes down to proving that they are meeting their fiduciary duty, and so the tools that we are building are just constantly getting into deeper crevices of making sure that all of the fiduciary responsibilities are being met, and more importantly, because investment advisors are maybe not the biggest fans of compliance, and so if you're not making it incredibly easy for them because they want to be out selling new accounts and managing their clients' money, they don't want to spend much time on compliance. So you've got to make it easy for advisors to be able to handle their compliance obligations. And so what we've been doing constantly is going back to our customers and talking with them about, how are you using this? Is this making sense? Are your advisors saying that this is helping, that it's going faster, that it's easier, et cetera? So, as more regulations get added in and it becomes increasingly complex and broad problem that we're solving, we just have to keep on doing the same thing, talking to our customers, understanding what the problems are, what they're trying to solve with their distributed teams, and helping to make it easier.
Yeah, no, I would certainly match that. I know that when you said that the SEC is saying if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. And these are clearly, I think, for all organizations, even in the insurance side, because I know there's a good number of insurance representatives here. What happened in New York with 187, and kind of documenting all that process of how you got to your conclusion is really important. And even for, as best we can tell from all five of us here, being able to store and retrieve a lot of those files or document. And I know Mobile Assistant was here today, also doing great on the document side for dictation. Codifying that into single repository is going to be really critical. I think given the time, one of the things most advisors are really asking is, what's the future look like? And so let's put our kind of future goggles on for a second and think about what does your organization look like 2 years from now? What problem do you think you're solving that we can be eyes open about? I mean, you could be wrong. It's okay. It's not like we're recording this. Maybe we are. But I'm really curious of what comes down the path, right? After we get past now o'clock, according to April, what's future o'clock look like? And try to give us ideas of how we can maybe pay attention. Jen, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess at Simply Paraplanner, I think we're still at the very early stages of the impact we're going to have. And there's two sides to it. There's the side of paraplanning in general. I think advisors and planners are going to become more in relationship management and coaching and less in the actual planning work. And so I think those are going to become two separate things. We see that actually happening now. And then the other thing is just people working remotely more often and being willing to hire these outsourced people. Again, I think we're at the very beginning stages of that. And I do think it's going to increase over the next 6 months with everything that's going on. So I wouldn't say there's anything different right now. It's just going to continue building upon what we're doing right now.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think? What's Loan Buddy 2.0 look like? What is the future we haven't contemplated yet? You guys know.
Well, I think for us, it's really how we grow our platform. Our advisor portal. We've spent the most effort so far in the advisor portal and how we bring in data and onboard data, and the platform is growing nicely. And then with our consumer tools, how we bring in possibly other loan types in addition to student loan. We've got a pretty ambitious roadmap in terms of where we think we can take liabilities and pay down acceleration and develop additional strategies within our application, because third-party vendors have made access to this data really accessible. And so how we leverage these partners, both on the back end and the front end, and how we connect other technologies, we just want to be more seamless within our stack. I know Mike and I have talked about it many times, and how we do single sign-ons and how we route information through our CRM integrations with Redtail, and how we're going to add more integrations with CRMs to make that experience more buffed out within our application, but then also mindful of the tools that we deliver directly to consumers. And there's a big opportunity for us to grow on both sides of that fence.
Gotcha. Thank you. Interesting. What about you, Mac? What do you think is the future of smart RIA and manage the compliance side of that? What's kind of way out there? What's next after we document?
So we had a couple of small acquisitions in 2019. We acquired a cybersecurity compliance platform and email and social media archiving platform. And so we're working to integrate that technology into our core platform and just bring continually more control over all compliance issues into a single location. We're also really focusing on integrations and strategic partnerships in this year and into the future, because we just have truly seen terrific response to being able to take two separate platforms that are solid by themselves and combining them just produce much more value for the customers. And that's an old story, but we're seeing a lot of that benefit for our customers on the compliance side, and so definitely working on strategic partnerships and more integrations.
Got it. Interesting. How about you, Mike?
So I think we're going to see data play a much bigger role. So as we start to combine a lot of these applications in a unified, seamless way, how we leverage that data, I think is going to be critical going forward, right? We've heard about machine learning and artificial intelligence. I think we're now starting to get massive data sets. Certainly for us, by partnering with Envestnet and Yodlee, we've got a lot more data that allows us to do some predictive things, which then makes the advisor a lot more useful to focus in on things that are starting to be commoditized. So if advisors in the past could only see 100 clients, right, we're hoping to get them to the point where they could see 300 clients. And the only way to do that is by leveraging the integrations in the data and automating a lot of that slack in the system, and doing that by allowing the client to own their data, right? Allow them to own the data and share it with the advisors that they want. And if an advisor wants to pivot from one performance reporting tool to another, because the client owns the data, it should move pretty seamlessly. So that's one thing that we kind of see on the horizon that we're doing. By pulling all this data together into a data lake, it allows us to share it across multiple platforms pretty seamlessly.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. I think the expectation is they want integrations tomorrow. And the timeline and the time it takes to develop it, I think, we all have an appreciation for it, and we have a high expectation for
Yeah.
lines.
No, I agree with it. It's interesting because for us, integrations are an art and a science, right? We've done a great integration with Adam's company, and the science piece is easy. It's connect point A to point A at your place. The art piece is a lot more difficult, and it's more important now than it ever was before. How do you tell the story? How do you make it seamless so the client doesn't realize they've just gone from a planning tool into a onboarding account opening tool. And if I make a change in one spot, it should flow back to the other so that my map and asset map is updated. Or if I'm collaborating on one case with one person for paraplanning, I should be able to remove that access when I'm done so that I can move on to the next action.
Yeah, these are all great shares, and I think that really actually is a great conclusion to what we heard today, right? When you think about, we heard Steve talking about the gig economy exploding and how we can solve problems by thinking outside of the box, and you consider what's going on with Simply Paraplanner and actually this gig economy to extent of there's no reason why every financial planning team, large and small, couldn't have a paraplanner or an expansive even coach that's part of the team, maybe as that evolves, or thinking about compliance and cyber getting combined in a way that really addresses both of those problems that tend to be dealt with in a vacuum, or even what we're doing at Loan Buddy and thinking not only about debt at the student level, but also holistic debt management integrated on an ongoing basis to get feedback of when you should refinance. I mean, there's probably too much slack in that system where the banks are really raking it in because nobody's paying attention to the extra interest going out the door that should be invested or being insured, going to insurance. And I would tend to agree with you, Mike, that we think data democratization is the future. There's no way we tend to think with GDPR and what's happened in Europe in terms of data privacy standards that's not going to hit the US eventually. And we're not going to be able to use data as a captive resource to our clients to say, listen, the data's with me, you can never leave me. That's not going to work long term. And certainly I know about you, but I can't go selectively delete backups for some client who says delete all my data for the last 20 years. And then